Are you still playing Max Payne 3?
Yeah, it's fun.
They recently updated the game and gave all players the DLC maps and weapons. It's had a really interesting effect on the multiplayer as a whole. More maps has been a pretty simple net positive, but the new weapons and perks have brought an interesting change. Previously, the game has been standard fare from the time, with level progression and ranked unlocks like in a Call of Duty game, but now, right off the bat, everyone has a variety of weird secondary weapons, a perk that makes killed enemies hungover, the best rifle in the game, the other best rifle in the game, a sniper rifle, a grenade launcher, the shotgun from the end of Max Payne 1, and Sam Lake. Having all these weapons puts things on a much more even playing field, but it also takes away a lot of what makes Max Payne multiplayer special. The problem with this...
Okay, if you don't stop talking about Max Payne 3 right now, I'm going to shoot myself and then you.
Okay, fine. God, I'll stop talking about Max Payne 3.
I remember Max Payne. I saw it at the local library. It was rated M, so I wasn't allowed to play it.
We also didn't have an Xbox, dumbass.
They had Red to Hell Retribution in there.
The really bad game?
Yeah, the really bad one. I also think they had...
We're meandering. Get to the actual video.
I want to play more Max Payne 3!
You have nothing to say about Max Payne 3. Go play a different third-person shooter with twin pistols and acrobatics and slow motion.
Hey, remember that movie where they made the bullets curve?
No.
Yes?
Oh no.
Oh, yes!
Wanted is a movie from 2008 where Morgan Freeman gets shot through the hole of a donut and bullets curve like the track path of Nürburgring. I haven't seen it.
Oh my god, stop talking about things you haven't seen.
Oh my god, stop talking, period.
Take one look at the movie Wanted, which you haven't done, and you get the feeling that this has video game potential. Warner Brothers agreed with me, and in 2009 released Wanted, Weapons of Fate, a direct sequel to the movie with the same cast.
And because you keep nagging me, I'll watch the movie first.
Thank you.
Okay, movie time.
Well, that was fun.
Are you serious?
I mean, could be worse.
I'm not a film critic, but I'm going to have to be for a little while in order to contextualize this game. Let's start with a plot summary. Oh, and spoilers for the 2008 film Wanted. I would say go watch it, but you're really not missing much. Wesley Gibson is a guy who works in an office and hates life. His boss nags him, he's broke, and worst of all, he is a cuckold, which sounds pretty normal for a man named Wesley Gibson. But all that changes when he meets Angelina Jolie, who tells him 3 things. He's the son of a rad assassin, his rad dad was killed by this guy, and this guy is about to shoot Wesley right now. Action scene. Exposition. There's this order of assassins called the Fraternity. Good God. They read a pattern of textiles to interpret into binary code, which they convert to names, and that's how they figure out who to kill next. It's a textile religion. So Wesley joins them to get revenge for the death of his dad. Beating up James McCaffrey for a bit, curve the bullet, we'll get to that. Angelina Jolie's ass, we'll get to that. Murder, finally! After a pretty long and brutal training sequence, Wesley finally starts shooting people in the head, and it's by far the best part of the movie. One action scene later, Tobey Maguire shoots Dr. Luke, but then, twist! Wesley's dad's killer is actually just Wesley's dad! Oh, and then Angelina Jolie tries to kill him because his name came up in the Holy Weave. Wake up in a house. Exposition from Alfred. Oh, by the way, this is Alfred. He makes bullets for Dr. Luke. Morgan Freeman, head of the fraternity, has had his name appear in the textiles and has been manipulating the assassins to do his bidding. What could this bidding be? I don't know. Wesley is like, no, I'm gonna avenge my dad for real, and... Okay, so... He feeds hundreds of rats peanut butter mixed with explosive material, straps IEDs to them, and then unleashes scores of rat grenades upon the textile mill assassin base. Well, add a letter grade for that alone. So Wesley is now confronting Morgan Freeman and also Mona Sachs and several men with guns. But then, twist again, everyone's name has come up in the textiles, and Morgan Freeman is like, yeah, maybe the textiles are full of let's just alter the world how we want to. And everyone else is like, sounds good. And then Angelina Jolie is like, no, the code is what matters, and kills everyone in the room and herself with one bullet. And then Wesley is like, You Got Mine and shoots Morgan Freeman with a pretentious bullet from halfway across the city through the hole of a donut, the can of an energy drink, an entire parking lot of cars, and up. Oh, and he did this with a magazine-fed flintlock rifle. The end. Now, let's not kid ourselves. This is a dumb, fun popcorn movie, and when it comes to action, we have unparalleled dumb action scenes. The first action scene in this movie involves a guy jumping out of a skyscraper and across a street while shooting 3 people in the head, one of whom is killed by a magazine-fed flintlock pistol with a curved bullet. And that's by far the tamest scene. These scenes go so over the top they're colliding with the International Space Station in slow motion, and it's f***ing amazing. However, while the action is dumb fun, everything else is just dumb. Problem 1. This is an action movie from the late 2000s. There's a trend in late 2000s action movies where they would try to be mature, gritty, and edgy, and also relatable to 14-year-old boys. The best way to show this is with the movie Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is a movie about extremely reckless people trying to be superheroes, which is a really interesting concept with a lot of potential. The opening scene includes a bit where the protagonist jerks off to women in tribal outfits, and the ending includes a bit where that same character shoots a dozen people with a minigun jetpack. Whatever good ideas these sorts of movies have gets thrown under the bus by stupidly over-the-top action and a frat boy sense of humor even Matt Gaetz would find a bit much. To be fair, Wanted gets some points for making the plot entirely focused on the stupid action, so the viewer can think, this is cool as hell, without also thinking, this isn't really what I signed up for. And it gets more points for having some amazing stupid action, if you couldn't tell from the mag-fed flintlocks and scores of rat grenades! But those parts are forced to share space with the protagonist's girlfriend, who he openly hates, f***ing Chris Pratt, among other stuff you'd think is cool and edgy if you're the kind of 8th grader to use homophobic slurs in Call of Duty lobbies. Other problems include a general feeling of nihilism / f*** you got mine for edgy white boys, saying that being able to do the bullet time stuff is a genetic trait.
Some of the things they taught me, not everybody can do. You gotta have it in your blood.
Token romance, male gaze and stuff. Overall message of, yeah, the textiles that tell you who to kill is always right and put all your faith in it, which... ugh. Overall message on top of that is, I, Wesley, am exempt from the rule. F*** you got mine.
You sound like Cinema Sins.
Can you shut the f*** up?
This is me taking control. From the fraternity. From Janice. From billing reports. From ergonomic keyboards. This is me taking back control of my life.
Just kill them! I think I kind of hate this movie. So yeah, it's got some fantastic action, but it's heavily bogged down by every other unpleasant element. This is what the game has to work with. In some ways, it's absolutely perfect 7th gen video game material, because it's narcissistic, edgy, and absolutely overflowing with over-the-top action. There's quite a bit of potential here. That may be more potential flaw than fun, but Max Payne 3 is pretty flawed, but the actual gameplay is f***ing transcendent. So with all this preamble out of the way, let's finally get into the game.
Somewhere beyond the sea.
Well, that was short.
Such a lovely time we have together.
Do I have to review this?
So let's talk about the game. Wanted, Weapons of Fate is extremely short, which is nice since I can dissect it piece by piece. Let's just start a new game, and... wonderful. So before we get to the actual story, we need to do some tutorials, which brings me to talking about the gameplay. It's the bare minimum. You third-person walk over to cover, you press the button to take cover, you pop up, and you shoot. I'll say this much, at the very least it's functional. I never had any bugs that made it harder to play. However, a problem that appears almost immediately is that this game is unbelievably stiff. Aiming is excruciatingly slow, making it nearly impossible to lock onto a target efficiently. On top of that, after you turn for a certain amount of time, aim acceleration kicks in and you have the opposite problem. Your reticle moves too fast to hit anything. It's something you can get used to, but it's a major factor in hurting the flow of combat. Cover is likewise functional, but taking it feels like stapling yourself to the wall you're hiding behind. Take Max Payne 3 as an example of a good cover system. Taking cover is quick, leaving cover is quick, and overall cover feels natural. Wanted Dead or Alive has the quick taking and leaving cover, which is good because otherwise it would be infuriating. But that third part, the feeling natural. It's really hard to talk about something like this, because this is really more of a gut feeling than anything else, so I'll try to put it this way. Using cover in Max Payne 3 feels like controlling a person. Using cover in Wanted feels like controlling a magnet. Seriously, get up, take a magnet, and drag it across something metal, not your computer, that will keep you from watching more of this video. It's a little like that. The cover system allows you to move from cover to cover relatively quickly though, so at the very least you can flip from cover to cover, sometimes in slow motion, but we'll get to that. With the tutorial out of the way, we can
Go back to your computer and search the net for jailbait porn.
oh my fucking god. Browsing the net for jailbait porn. Can you tell this game is from 2009 yet? Okay, so the game starts with...
Now, usually the bastard impregnating my mother with lead wakes me up.
Holy shit! We need to talk about the writing. Have you ever looked at the writing of Shadow the Hedgehog and thought, damn, what if this was written by frat boys with no restrictions for a younger audience? No? Oh wait, some jackass in the back raised their hand. Hey, jackass, imagine if Deadpool wasn't funny. Oh god! Yeah, that's what I thought. The writing is obtuse when it's focused on the plot and unbearable when it's focused on anything else. Characters are characterized either not at all or with the bluntness of a meat tenderizer. Wesley's a d***, the SWAT is French, the Russian's a creep, the spider's a femme fatale, Brummel exists, and everyone else except for maybe 4 characters get less screen time than they would in a single scene from the movie. Those characters are Boring, Exposition, Both, and Wesley, who you spend the most time with by far. Which is unfortunate, because everything Wesley says makes me feel like I'm listening to Xbox Live Chat.
Search the net for jailbait porn.
We've already seen the arguably worst lines, but just because things don't get that bad doesn't mean they don't feel like rejected one-liners from Drake and the 99 Dragons. Cutscenes also look like they come from a test build of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, but I'm more forgiving of that since they probably blew most of their budget having Morgan Freeman in the studio for 12 minutes. Now then, after the 1-2 punch of lead impregnation and commentary on such, we start off with
Level 1, Cluster Oh yeah, we're so edgy.
And what's with the lighting?
Oh my god, talk about the level already!
I am talking about the level. The lighting is part of the level.
You know what I mean, talk about the actual level.
Okay, fine. I'll talk about the actual level. It's boring. There's nothing of note here. Okay, let's talk about the lighting.
Fuck you!
You too!
Who is that?
They constantly portray abnormal sexual behavior as being normal. They glorify unnatural sex acts. They tell youngsters that it's smart, it's thrilling, it provides kicks to be a homosexual, a sadist, and every other kind of deviant. This moral decay weakens our resistance to the onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Level 1 has really ugly lighting and a boring boss fight, and that's basically all there is to say about it. The nuts and bolts design is at least functional, but it's still so dull that the C- it deserves still feels too generous. At least you get to shoot dozens of French people. Time for a set-piece QuickTime event. And time to look at Max Payne 3 again. It's actually kind of surprising how similar the two are when it comes to set pieces. They use the same mechanics as their base game, but in a way that restricts your movement in order to show feats of heightened acrobatics. And to Wanted's credit, the acrobatics are kind of cool. Does it measure up to braking with a Camaro to act as a ramp so a Mustang driver can launch his car into a flip where they shoot a target through an open sunroof as they fly over the target vehicle? A man can dream. But it would be fine if they weren't so restrained. A set piece in Max Payne 3 definitely wants you to shoot people, but not all of them explicitly require it. Take this jump from a boat. You have a few seconds of bullet time and a loaded revolver. How many can you get before you hit the ground? Wanted by Hunter Hayes has controls that are much more stiff, with only 1 to 3 targets that you have to hit in a time limit, and with this weird visual effect that makes your cone of vision feel smaller. These segments are supposed to be hype, but they're so uninterested in being engaging that I have no interest in engaging with it. Time to shoot Montang. This boss fight is really uninteresting, except for the part where you have to blind fire to stun him. He can only be stunned by blind fire. He doesn't even flinch for aimed fire. It's very odd.
Level 2.
Kill anyone who comes near you that doesn't have my charm or my good looks.
You look like the protagonist of an Uncharted knockoff called Neathon Dirk. Now you have twin pistols, and wow, the game is automatically better. And easier. A lot easier. Over 2/3 of this game is a cakewalk. Game, please show me something interesting. Okay, finally. We now have the ability to curve the trajectory of bullets. It's intuitive to use, functions reliably, and only sometimes doesn't kill a target, though that's more of an issue with the weapons. Initially, I was confused as to why there are only 4 guns in the entire game, excluding turret and sniper segments. However, I actually kind of like this. A common nitpick I have with shooters is that sometimes it's just cooler to use handguns, but the enemies often get more health or some other ability that makes most handguns less viable. By making the pistols you have the only weapons you ever have, that can't really happen. The trade-off to this is that if you don't like a weapon, you better grit your teeth and learn to like it because it isn't going away. So it sure would suck if one of the weapons sounded weaker than a Nerf gun firing blanks. So Wesley's pistol sounds like a Nerf gun firing blanks. So you finish up this escape and wait, what? I guess I'm just in the turret section now. This has no build-up. Oh, I guess I'm sniping now. This scope is dumb as hell, but I kinda like it. Level 3. Bang, 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 bang. The music is really bad. Every time you get into combat, this really awful combat track starts playing. It triggers every time you start fighting an enemy, and ends after all enemies are dead. Because of the way this works, if you encounter one enemy in a hallway, it will play the start of the music by the time the body hits the ground, go on for a couple seconds, and then fade out right before entering another combat room and starting the track over again. It's Payne. Level 4. Airplane. Now, I'm a sucker for airplane levels, but this airplane level sucks. Its design is so generic, with all the worst aspects of an airplane being highlighted in the design. The final set piece has a lot of potential though, as escaping the burning plane when it's vertical sounds really cool. It's a boring QuickTime event though. Cool. Level 5, Ugly Lighting. New ability, move between cover in the special way to trigger bullet time. While I would prefer just using bullet time and shoot dodging like in a better game, for what it's worth, this is a mechanic I enjoy. Even with stiff movement, it's fun to slide over a box and shoot 3 people in slow motion. Level something, I don't remember. Now you have
the killer suit
and a new gun, according to this congratulations screen. This looks like an edgy version of a printable certificate you get at the end of a Nick Jr. Flash game. Not gonna lie though, it's a nice mask. And a really nice gun. The firing sound is like a sledgehammer. Level... me, this game is boring. Level design is really dull. Did you not like Chicago because the lighting was ugly? Well here, have this gray square hallway, or gray square facility, or gray square showers, which still have ugly yellow lighting.
You don't sound well.
Look, I'm going through a lot right now.
Story! So, let's cover the simple stuff. Prior to Cross leaving the fraternity, he does a job that makes the Paris fraternity very upset. Then he discovers that Sloan, this is Sloan, I don't know if I mentioned that, hasn't been following the Loom because he taped his own kill order to the Loom room? Is it really that hard to make an explanation for Cross to find the kill order? So then the movie happens, and a few hours after... Tobey Maguire's stunt double finds himself in hot water with the Paris fraternity. Because... you know, he destroyed the Loom. In religion terms, that's kind of like destroying the world's only autographed copy of the Bible. But because Videos Game absolutely hates ideological conflict, the leader of the Paris fraternity is
the Immortal,
a guy who hates Wesley personally because his parents should be dead or something. He thinks Wesley shouldn't exist. I wish he didn't. You track him down, shoot his minions, make some comments that make me uncomfortable.
I gotta tell you, I wouldn't have minded making her scream another way, but what the heck. At least her ankles were skyward.
Okay, dude. Now you're in France. The game decides here, like 80% into the game, that it actually wants to be a bit challenging. Unfortunately, that comes in 2 of the least interesting ways possible. Give enemies more health and introduce the snipers. Giving enemies more health is an understandable course of action, but it was a lot of fun one-shotting people with hand cannons, so it's a shame to lose that. What bothers me more is that the extra health feels so arbitrary. Let's take another look at Max Payne. Enemies at first are guys in t-shirts, and when you get to the enemies with more health, they're paramilitary forces and over-budgeted cops. It makes sense that they have more health because they have body armor. This is pretty obvious visual design stuff. Unfortunately, I wanted to stop playing this hours ago, didn't pick up on that, and the only difference between a bullet sponge and a normal enemy is that bullet sponges wear overalls. I wasn't aware of the bullet deflecting potential of overalls. Anyway, now there are snipers, and I think they kinda work except for everything else in the encounters. They fire fast enough to keep you in cover, but slow enough for you to move from cover to cover effectively. And because combat arenas are linear strings of cover, a rhythm is established. Get to cover, sniper fires, jump to the next cover, repeat. It's not particularly engaging, but after the slog that is the other 9/10 of the game, it's mildly interesting. But then other enemies start to appear. This would change the rhythm of the combat. Get to cover, sniper fires, shoot a couple times before returning to cover, sniper fires again, repeat. That sounds tedious and frustrating, and yeah, no shit. That should be obvious. It's putting you between a rock and a hard place, and the only way out is down the river Styx. But you can move from cover to cover in slow motion, and some enemy types can be one-tapped. This could be a slow motion power fantasy that encourages movement in a rhythm. But it's not. Of course it's not. You got all these overall-wearing people ensuring that you can only kill one person at most every time you pop up from cover. But you get through it, and now it's time for the
final level.
Oh, my throat hurts. Aw, yeah, I love gray square corridors. Aw, yeah, I love generic cathedrals. Aw, yeah, I love climbing a church tower in which I have to fight a near-identical combat situation like 7 times. Yeah, send me more. I definitely don't want to leap off this tower. And the final boss is trash. It's a less climactic feeling version of the boss fight against the spider. Speaking of, the boss fights are somewhat interesting. Each one requires you to use a different mechanic. Montag requires blind firing. Brummel requires bending bullets. The spider requires the slow motion movement between cover. The Russian requires nothing and needs a better voice actor.
Son of the killer may have taken special interest in.
And the Immortal is just the spider. You have to use the slow motion cover movement, but because you have the final weapon, these dual-wielded extended mag vertical grip suppressed automatic M9s, I beat him on the first try with almost no effort. And the boss has nothing else going for it. At least the spider fight has a view. An actual view. Don't be creepy like the protagonist.
Making her scream another way?
Let's get this over with. Bang, 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 bang. And unlike every other cutscene, I actually want to say, pardon me if I go a little CinemaSins here.
My mother and father died because, like you, they were fanatics because they trusted what? A f***ing rag?
I thought you were convinced that the, quote, f***ing rag was something you cared enough about to destroy the entire fraternity to uphold. Or was the end of the movie more, f*** everyone got mine, trying to determine how stupid I should think this is?
But life is full of doubts, it's not blind faith. You are God.
Again, the movie ended with Sloane hasn't been following the loom, shoot him, so unless I missed a crucial line of narration while a bullet destroyed Chris Pratt's Red Bull, this is really out of left field.
If there is no God, then it is our duty to create him.
I'm listening to a Frenchman talk pretentiously about the idea of God being a construct in Wanted Weapons of Fate for the PS3. What the hell am I doing here?
But I do know what I am. I'm an asshole with a gun and a cool suit.
Okay. 1, piss off, that's my thing. 2, there's also this weird sequel tease kind of thing that I don't get. It comes out of nowhere, makes little to no sense, and appears less than 15 seconds before the end of the game. I don't get why it's here. 3, piss off, that's my thing. The final shot where the church bell gets louder as the bullet gets closer to the Immortal's head is kinda cool though. And that's the end of the game. You can play levels over as different characters, but unfortunately they add nothing to the game, they're just reskins. So if you want to play Wanted Weapons of Fate for the PS3 while looking like a trooper from Wolfenstein The New Order, I guess today's your lucky day. As for me, I'm going to have to give this game a 0 out of 10. No mag-fed flintlock pistols.
So, that's the review?
That's the review. So, what are we gonna do about him?
What have we done?
Huh. Hey, didn't you recently get a new gun?
What are you talking about? Oh, I don't have a gun here. Is this supposed to be part of, like, an ending bit where I do the curve the bullet thing and that's like the ending joke? I don't know.
Wow, that's quite a gun!
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. If this is supposed to be like for the ending joke, curve the bullet thing, we're not doing that. That's not something that I'm
going to be doing.
Wow! Incredible! A gun!
What are you doing? Why are you involved in this? What are you people talking about? This is weird. They're starting to worry me quite a lot. Just now, cut the video here, okay? Just cut the video here. Alright. Cut the video here. Cut here. Here.
Search the net for
Ergonomic keyboards.